is Kitty, like a cat, and yes, that is how I introduce myself in person, because if I don't, everyone thinks my name is Katie. This is my third Flosstube video. Also joining us is Wolfgang, my little dog. He's usually in the other room for my last two videos, but he wouldn't stop barking, and so he will be here at least for a little while until he gets sick of me talking, because if I'm ever in Zoom meetings, he gets really upset talking to other people. But right now he just wanted some pets. So I want to again thank everybody for watching my last video. I really appreciate it. I also really appreciate it if you're coming back to see this one, and if this is your first video, thank you so much for stopping in and spending some time with me. So I think I'm going to start this time with a little bit of life update, which I haven't done. So last week I didn't film because I wasn't feeling very well last weekend, and there's a few reasons, but the first one is that I have been working on two large thigh pieces tattoos, and I had my second session for one of them on Thursday, and I was just not feeling great for the rest of the weekend, which I expect. That's why I try to do it towards the end of the week. But the big thing was really that we had, so my where I work, the organization I work, we use a web application that's developed in-house, and we use it every day for hours and hours, and it was deployed in 2005, so they've completely redesigned it, because the coding languages that were used in 2005 are sort of more or less obsolete now, so they had to just start over. And that development process has been going on for quite a while, and I'm gonna be honest, it's been quite stressful, and it deployed last Friday. They took the old one down, and by yesterday, this Friday, the new one was at least internally deployed, and by the time I get back Monday, it will be externally deployed. So that's, it's hard to explain how that can like take such a toll on somebody, but it really did. It caused a lot of stress for me. I woke up at 4:30. We had Monday off for the holiday, and so 4:30 Tuesday morning, I woke up and I couldn't sleep, and I just went into work early because I was just so anxious about what was happening and how I would manage my team through it all. But it's going all right. You know, we're not anywhere near done with the transition. It'll go on for probably definitely the rest of this year, probably well into next year. But I mean, as far as like the full transition, until we're totally comfortable with everything. But yeah, I wasn't feeling well, but I'm back today. I really did. I kind of wanted to film, but I was just a mess. So I'm back today. Also, welcome to my living room. I did not feel like cleaning my office. I guess another bit of trivia. My office is also my wardrobe and my collection room and my crafting room, and if I have a very stressful week at work, it can become a bit cluttered. But I think this is a decent background, so I'll jump into my whips now. This first one, I talked about last time that I was going to start it, so this is my May start for my like year of starts. The pattern is Big Folk Flower by Teresa Kogut. I'm going to take the picture out for a minute because I'm going to show you my floss color choices. It'd probably be better if you could see it. That's better. Kind of. So here's my progress so far. So you can see my colors are quite different if we compare. And I've picked a palette that embodied the vibe that I wanted And then I've been sort of just picking as I go from this palette. So these are mostly DMCs with a couple overdyes I had in stash. And then the linen was in stash. It's a Zweigart 32 count dirty linen. That is the color, dirty. And I really just wanted for this one to have a really earthy folk art vibe. I like colors like this in my interior decor, and Teresa Kogut's art just really obviously folk art is one of her inspirations for most of her work, and I really appreciate that. I really like that. So I was just drawing from that and making it mine. I'm pretty excited. I think it's turning out pretty well. Oh, I'm doing so it's 2/2 on 32, except the bird is 310 and I am doing 3 strands. And I really like the coverage. I will say that I wouldn't normally do 3 strands when I'm stitching in hand, so that you can see this one stretched on a Q-snap. I think that it's pretty easy to do 3 strands if you're on a 32 on a Q-snap, if it's not an overdyed. So this is not an overdyed, it's just a straight, base Zweigart. And so for those, the holes are pretty accessible, and then on the Q-snap, they get even farther apart. So I'm not having too much difficulty, and it's helpful that 310 is black and so absorbs light. So it doesn't look as messy as like if you were really shoving in a shinier color that's going to reflect more light. So I think it looks great. I'm excited about that. I wanted them to really stand out. So that was my only start that I haven't already shown you. So for my whips, I showed you this one last time. I told you that it was in my May plans. It is the Work Baskets Merry Month of May. At the time, I wasn't really sure how much I would get done on this. So I'm actually really happy with the progress I did make. I got the creature done. Yay! And that looks pretty good in the camera. I think because I've been holding it really close to my face, I've gotten concerned that the coverage wasn't good enough with this floss, but I also feel like when it's framed and it's like on a wall, it kind of blends in a way. Your eye like fills it in. So this is 1 strand on a 36 count. Be Stitch Me Sand Dollar. And I mentioned last time that this cut of Sand Dollar was from a few years ago, I think 2022 actually. And so it's a little bit of a cooler greenish color than the current dye lot that I got more recently, a couple months ago. They're both beautiful, but I really like the greenish color. For a while there, I felt like it was really hard to find greenish neutrals, but then there are several dyers that have come out recently with more greenish neutrals, and I'm really excited about that. I like warm tones a lot, but I also really love green. So for this one, I did a complete conversion. It's called For MPIs. And this is what the creature's in. It's Fiberlicious Red Bordeaux. It's really pretty. And I wanted to say, I've worked with a lot of different kinds of silks, and the silk base that Fiberlicious uses, I think for people who are interested in stitching with 2 strands, it would work, 2 strands of silk, which I don't do, but some people I think would like to. I think it would work better than a lot of other overdyed silks. It's not quite as stretchy, and it's a little thinner than the ones I usually use. So I think 2 strands of it would look good. I'm not sure what the base they use is, but it's definitely different than most of the silks that I have used before. So this is the last thing I worked on since I saw you last. It's my Calico Kitten kit. So this is a kit from the 90s. It's this precious little kitten. And I'm really excited about my progress on this too. I have all the stitching done in the hat and the head. This ribbon comes quite far down onto his tummy, and so my plan is now to pause doing any more X's and then go back to the top and do the back stitch all the way through the hat, his face, and down here, and then I will continue on with the bow and the rest of his body. So again, I'll show you. That bow's pretty big. He's got that little bouquet and then the little Keats. I am really happy with this. I think it looks adorable already, and it's going to look so much cuter when I get the backstage into its face. Looks a little spooky right now. But this has been really fun and really relaxing when I haven't wanted to deal with anything more complicated. I mean, it doesn't get much simpler than 14 count white Aida with, you know, some straightforward DMCs. I did truthfully get kind of frustrated with the big folk flower, and then I revisited this morning, and I don't know what my problem was. I think it was just I was so stressed. I started, you know, I was frustrated with how my stitches looked. I was frustrated with the coverage. I was frustrated with stitching linen on a Q-snap, and then this morning I worked on it and I had a great time. So I think it's one of those things, you know, if you're having a rough week, you're like, I hate my hair, I hate my outfit, you know, nothing's working right, but it's just kind of your mental state. So that's why I like to have multiple whips, so I can step away from something when I'm frustrated like that, and then when I get to revisit it, it's like coming back to something for the first time in a while. And if you were wondering what this is, I stitched this on my Lowry stand, and I find that the metal clamp on the Q-snap, like just the plastic, it moves around, and to prevent it from moving around, you have to tighten it so much. I'm afraid it's gonna break, and it's definitely gonna crush your stitches if you have some stitches folded over. And so I started using these shelf liners, and it adds a lot of grip, and it really helps. And then for this, like on this one too, I was having trouble keeping the, I don't have a lot of border because I'm used to stitching in hand, so I didn't account for the Q-snap border when I planned the size of fabric I got. And so putting some in there also helped this stay really tight. And so that's just one solution in case you're having any issues with your Q-snap slipping or your Lowry stand slipping. That's my solution so far. There may be people who have better solutions. So next up, I'm going to talk about my June plans. So June is my birthday month, and for the last few years I have done birthday starts, but I think, and this is my year of starts, right? So I had something slotted. I usually pick really special starts for June, because it's my birthday start, you know, but I also usually only stitch on my birthday whips during June. And I don't want to get to the point where I have so many of my favorite projects I only work on in June and they never get finished. So I decided I might start something this month, but it won't be a big project. This was the one I had planned, was a big project that I planned to start later in the year. But if I stitched, when I start it, because it's so big, I want to stitch on it for at least like a month or two, right? Sorry. So, and I have a finish goal. I've kind of decided that I don't want more than 3 birthday whips at a time. So if I finish one this year, I can start one next year. So, or if I finish more than one. But my finish goal is this one. It is the Mermaid of Salem Bay by the Primitive Hair. Having this floss tube is really magnified for me how much I love and stitch primitive hair designs. But this was the one that started it all, I really think, for me. I think this one came out in 2020, and it's the first time that I discovered the primitive hair. And it's the tail, right? Like, and also there's beads on it. Hold on, I can show you the back. There's beading, but it's not like a mirror level, but it's still beautiful. Anyhow, I'll show you my progress. Oh goodness, I have threads everywhere. Okay, there's a hanging thread. Apologies. All right, I have the called for fabric. It has a pirate ship on it, the called for. It's a 30 count linen that she like screen prints. Isabella, the designer of Primitive Hair, she makes these herself. And you can see that I think the pirate ship's kind of washed out in the camera, but you can see it better in real life. So you can see I have the bones of the tail in and her hair. So really I have fill-in for those, and then just to do her face and her little a bit of her arm, and then the beads. So this will be my focus for pretty much the whole month, because I would really like to get this done. I'd like to get it ironed because I'm kind of stressed out about how it was folded for like a year, and part of the screen printing I think faded in the fold. I think I was able to kind of disguise it, but I guess word to the wise, that could happen. I am not using the called for because I'm kind of picky about blue, and so I pulled some Brennan needles that I'm using, but I did buy all the called for, so they're here. And then I also think I'm going to use this DMC metallic for like the attaching some of the beads, and there's some like this it's like a backstitched thing. So for some of the attaching the beads in these backstitched areas, I would like to use that metallic. It's not very much, so it's okay. I also don't really like the sound metallics make when they go through linen. I also, what is this? Okay, I confused myself. I have the bead pack. So she does sell these sometimes for some of her designs. And then I also have, looks like, some leftover beads from a Mill Hill that are in a similar color family. Hello. There we go. If I want to add some. So that will be fun. So we'll see. That is my main goal. I suspect I probably won't work on the other two, but I'm going to show them to you anyways, because it's my birthday and I can do what I want. So that one and the one I'm about to show you were started in 2023. So not terribly long ago, but this is a Nora Corbett Inkberry Holly. And so I have pretty much the whole skirt, almost the whole skirt area done. and most of her legs. So it's really just the top part. I started in the middle, but I usually stitch down. So I stitched down first, and now I'm gonna have to stitch up. It is wrinkly because I stitched it in hand, and I started this one. This is my first Nora, and I've never done a Mira, but I have some other Noras, and I have some Mira patterns. And this one was my sort of experiment because I wanted to see, I didn't really see anybody stitching Noras or Miras in hand, but I really like stitching in hand, and so I wanted to see if it was possible and if it would look okay. It's a Witchell, it's a 32 count Witchell Laurel, which is not the called for this one, but it is a called for fabric for a lot of other Miras and Nora Corbett's. I just liked it better than the called for. I think it was white. It was just white. I think it looks good. I mean, I think it looks totally fine. And so that's good to know. I'll probably put it in a hoop for the beads just to help out a little bit, but it's done well. And then, so what I do, because I stitch down, I don't like stitching up. I have to flip my needle, like especially in hand. I have to flip my needle, and that motion is a little more difficult for me. What I do, I flip it upside down, I flip the pattern upside down, I just finish it. And your stitches will be in the right direction. Fun tidbit, I guess. Okay, so that one's all called for. It only has one kind of bead, but there's like a bunch of them. She has in her crown. So I have those. And I'm going to show you the flosses because they're so pretty. These are all the flosses. I have them on just these cardboard cards, but I love getting this project out and like petting the floss. Look how chunky like all of these are. Oh my, I love it. Okay. Then my third and the last birthday whip is another primitive hair. This is Endymion, which is a poem by John Keats. And I call this my Keats sampler, truly. So the big verse area is from the poem, and then this area, so that's John Keats and Fanny Braun, and that's Keats' house. But that's not what Keats' house looks like. So there's a house called Keats' house. It actually wasn't his house, but it's the house that he spent a lot of time in, where he wrote most of his famous poems. And you can, obviously there's a quill in front of it, but that's the house on the pattern, right? Keats' house is white. The house known as Keats' house, which you can visit. It is a museum dedicated to John Keats. I have been there twice. It is amazing. But that's not what it looks like. And so I was going to rechart it, and I've had this idea that I was going to rechart it for a really long time, and I was just getting like overwhelmed. It's just a house. It wouldn't be that hard. It's just like I didn't want to. Sometimes you want to stitch, not design, you know? So, this last market, sorry, I'm so excited. This last market, Cosford Rise, it is a designer who came out with a series of Brit lit houses. And in this pack has Beatrix Potter, Charles Dickens, and Keats' house. Right there's the white one. I ordered this immediately because I was hoping it would fit, but even if it didn't, I wanted it anyways. And it does, it fits. It's a couple, I think it might be a couple stitches wider, but it still fits in that area, and I'm just gonna plop it right in there. So now I have that out of the way, why I have two patterns in one project. I'm going to show you the whip, and then I will explain the materials. All right. Okay, hold on. Ooh, there we go. Well, so I have this much done. You can see the hoop marks. I'm going to pan it. So I made it all the way to the bottom of the text, but there's, you know, kind of like another set of pages. Excuse the interruption. My doggy wouldn't stop whining, so he can thank you for getting his dinner 20 minutes early. Anyhow, back to the whip. So, right. So I did like the first row of pages. I still need to, and I haven't done any of the like sampler bit. I'm going to show you one more time this, and then I'm going to hold the pattern up. So you'll notice my colors are much different. These are not really focusing. This whole pattern, it's mostly blue and a bit of brown. So I wanted to use more greens, to have green as sort of like the central color. So I went to a needle workshop an hour and a half from here, and I have this Diana needle minder on it. It feels appropriate. So anyhow, I went to a needle workshop and I picked out some colors that I'm using. I have certain ones that are 1-for-1 that I've made notes of, and some are as they come up. I use them. This silk, this is a silk, and it's so lovely. Oh, I just broke it. It's a bell swap. This is what I used it for the dove in the corner, but I just got it specifically for the house. So the pattern I will be using, it has a white house, so that will work nicely, I think. Yeah. Oh, and the fabric is a 36 count. I forget, it's XJU Designs, and I don't know what the color is called. I'm sorry. I keep neglecting to show you my project bags when they're not just a plastic zippered bag, but this one I made. It was the first bag I ever made. This is what I'm keeping Endymion in, and I hand stitched that one actually, which was a real pain in the whatnot, because there's a lining fabric and an outside fabric, so that's 4, and then there's interfacing, and I was putting the needle through all 6 layers of fabric, but I have a sewing machine now, so the other ones I've made went a little faster. So my plan for the rest for June is really to work on that Mermaid of Salem Bay piece. I really want to finish it, so I think if that's most of what I stitch on, then that's fine with me. I'll probably also stitch a bit on my year-long focus to finish piece, and then there was a Stitch Sprout mini that came out on the Patreon like last week that I really want to start, and that one's a small, so if I do start it, you will see that. Otherwise, I'm going to move now into collection development, and so first I have a couple pieces of fabric. I made a kitten stitcher order, and I got a primitive hair fabric. Again, Isabella often dyes or prints her own fabric for her own patterns. I don't really know what pattern this one was originally dyed for, but sometimes she just has really, really beautiful linens. And so I got this one that's called Irish Bog Sky. And I just love an Irish bog, and it's beautiful. It's just, I don't really feel like taking it out of this little bundle, but it's got these blues and these like mauves, and it really is like a spooky sky. So I'll probably use that on something kind of spooky or witchy at some point. I also got a cut of Ada. So this was, yeah, it's a fat quarter. It's a fat quarter of Picture This Plus gingerbread Ada. And honestly, in the photo, it looked a lot richer. I know this could happen with overdyed Ada sometimes, but it's a little more bland than I was hoping. And it's a fat quarter, which is, I feel like, a lot of Ada for me. But, so either I'll figure out something to stitch on this or I'll pass it on. It's Ada, so it wasn't too pricey. And while I was on the Kitten Stitcher site looking at fabrics, I also saw, I went to the sale section she has, and there was this Christmas deer pattern from, you guessed it, the Primitive Hare. But look at his little funky face. Look at his funky little face. Yeah, I like him. Obviously, he's a big chunky boy. That's a lot of stitching in there. And I don't do a lot of Christmas, but I think I could just, I mean, I don't think he has to be Christmas. I mean, it says Merry Christmas. It doesn't have to say Merry Christmas. Oh, also, this is kind of random. A lot of people have said that my voice is really calming, or like my presence is calming. I just want to say I really appreciate that, because I think honestly, I mean, I do. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I think a lot of times it's because I can become quite passionate about things. I've gotten a lot of feedback in my life that I'm too intense and that I need to tone it down. So just to get that feedback from more than one person was kind of really meaningful. So thank you. I guess I'll keep doing what I'm doing. So then I made a Lindy Stitches order. And these are two patterns that were newer to her shop, because the Artsy Housewife came out with some new patterns. Oh, I love this one. This one's called Flora. Are you serious? Are you serious? Oh, I love, can you see him? I love owls. I have an owl. It's called for in Roxy. I might do the DMC conversion, but we'll see. And then Jet Stitch has paper patterns now. So I got Strawberry Mountain. And this one has one Roxy in it, but I also might use the DMC for that, unless I decide to make a Roxy order and get all of the ones for this one plus this one, because it's not worth it to me, I feel like, to pay shipping on one Roxy. But if I got all of them, so I guess we'll find out. I got a couple more vintage kits off of eBay. This first one, I'm gonna take it out. I put it in a Ziploc because the package it came in was very dusty. But that makes sense because this pattern is from 1987. It says everybody's welcome. But I was really drawn, I was drawn to this one because I like plushies, right? I think they're really cute. But also, you see the hearts, one's white and pink and one's white and blue. I want to make both of them, use the blue, white, and pink to make both of them the trans pride flag. And I am also going to give the bunnies faces because I think it's kind of spooky that they don't have faces. So I really like that one. The pattern did come, or the fabric, this needle completely rusted. Oh my lord. But it has been in someone's, you know, it's so rusty. It has been in someone's, you know, attic or something for 38 years. So that makes sense. So I'm not entirely sure. Because it was folded, it's on the edge, but it was folded, so there's some rust damage in the middle of the fabric. So I might just pull something else, which is fine because it's just a little bitty cut of Ada. All right. So the other kit I got, and I'm probably modem. Probably done with kits for right now, but I saw this one. I thought I was done, and then I saw this one, and something I didn't know that, but I was looking for. Can you calm down, my man? Yeah? Are you back? You want to say hi? Say hello? Hi, I'm back, and I'm being very annoying. Back to it, back to it. I have been wanting to stitch the classic hang in there kitten for my office at work for a very long time. And I have a vintage booklet that has a little raccoon hanging on a branch. And so I was gonna maybe use that one and then just stitch hang in there on it. But this was the kitten, and it's the original, you know. I don't know what else to say, but I am delighted to have this one, and I might start this one soon, or I'll start it when I finish the Calico Kitten, probably. Both of those are pretty small, both the kits. So the next set of patterns I have are PDF patterns, so I will show you my printout, but I'm hoping to put up a picture. So as I mentioned last time, I was going to buy some of the primitive needle patterns that Lisa Roswell's daughter put up online as PDF offerings, and I have done that. I got 3 so far. So the first one is, it's Hallow Sampler, and my favorite part is the funny little kitty cat. Okay, and then I got Hoodoo Voodoo, which is another sampler with a bunch of spooky little guys on it. And then, of course, you didn't think I'd forget, I got Black Sky. Because there's no way in the world I would ever be able to afford what that pattern goes for. As I said, very excited to have these available as PDFs. I also got off of Etsy a pattern I'd had saved, like favorited for a really long time. The shop is called Contrary Perry, and this is the pattern. It is a Love Witch pattern. It's based on the film Love Witch, and it's just DMC. I think I'm going to do it in the DMCs, and I think I'm going to do it on this piece of chocolate raspberry from Witchell. It's a 32 count. So I think that'll be really cool. So that was all of the cross stitch for today. I'm going to move on to some miscellaneous items that I have collected and things I've been into. So if you're not interested, thank you for joining me. But related to the Love Witch pattern, as I said, Love Witch is a film written and directed by Anna Biller. And I recently found out that she had another film, sort of like a cult film, that came out in 2008 called Viva. And I had never seen it or heard of it. And I had the desire to watch it, but it's sort of like a B film, so it's not streaming anywhere that I could find. So I went on eBay and I found a unopened, like a shrink wrapped copy. So I got Viva, Um, and while I was on eBay, I said, well, I don't have a copy of The Love Witch. I've just streamed it. So I looked for the Blu-ray. I found the Blu-ray. The sticker's on the shrink wrap. It was also shrink wrapped still. And then the Blu-ray I decided to purchase was listed together with a shrink wrapped VHS, which is just so cool. I've had this displayed in our, like, around our entertainment system, and it's just really cool. So now I have these. I have all of these. So I'm in my Anna Filler era, I suppose. Oh, so I have watched this. So I've seen The Love Witch already. That's why I knew I liked her films. But I hadn't seen this, and I have watched it now. That's why it's the one that's out of its shrink wrap. And I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. So if you like B movies, like if you like John Waters films or Ed Wood films, then, and like cult films, then you might really like this. If you really don't like those films, then probably don't check it out. If you don't know if you like them, probably look at more easily accessible ones first before you have to go on eBay to find this DVD. All right. So that's all for film. I only got one book between this video and the last. That's not true. Anyway, I have one book in the stack. So I've been reading the Byron biography, the Byron, A Life in 10 Letters. I love it. I'm still really very interested in it. In the introduction, the author mentioned this book. So this is Keats, A Brief Life in 9 Poems and 1 Epitaph by Lucasta Miller. And the biographer, acknowledges some other biographies that came out before his that take a similar pattern. So, he has transcribed a letter from Byron and then gives biographical information that informs that letter and was happening at the time that he wrote that letter. And it's sort of chronological, and you get a biographical tale through these letters. And so he acknowledged that this book by Lucasta Miller about Keats is a similar format using poems. And I said, what? I haven't heard of that. Give it to me. And so I went on eBay and I found a copy. My copy was a library book, but I'm very happy to have rescued it. Whatever library didn't need it anymore. Look at him. I'm so happy. I don't know. There are other Keats biographies I've read. Like, why am I so excited? I don't know. Understand. So I'm really enjoying the Byron biography, so I'll probably continue focusing on that one. I read it in the morning on the weekends with my coffee. It's easier for me to engage with sort of like nonfiction writing on the weekends. My job is really cerebral, so that's enough nonfiction during the week. There's a lot of thinking, and it's I'm kind of spent by the time I get home, but I really enjoy being able to slow down and take some time to focus on something. So that's what I've been doing, and I'll probably continue that. But if I get a little burnt out on Byron's antics, I'll probably simultaneously kind of dig into this one. But for right now, this one's going on my Keats shelf with all my other Keats books. 2 more things, kind of. So this is Doll Hull. I haven't done that yet, but I probably will do more of it. I honestly haven't bought a lot of dolls this year. They just haven't been wowing me, and I only purchase items for my collections if they really spark joy, right? Like if they're like, oh, so beautiful to me. And there just hasn't really been anything this entire like calendar year. But Monster High, Mattel has been doing re-releases of some of the first generation of Monster High dolls, you know, from the 2010s. And I was really hoping that they would do operetta, and they did. This is my first pre-production. Isn't she beautiful? And okay, also her little spider kills me. His name is Memphis Daddy-O Longlegs. Look at his little... Oh my goodness. Anyhow, I just love her rockabilly design. I think she's so cool. I don't know if I'm going to unbox her. I haven't decided. I usually unbox my dolls, but I haven't decided. One thing I will say, look at all these stickers that Target put on the back of this. I'm scared to try to remove them, and it's making me pretty mad. But these are hard. Sometimes you can't find these in store. You have to get them online, and I couldn't find these in store. But luckily her screening's pretty good. I prefer to buy my dolls in store because I can look at their screening, their face screenings, and the construction of their clothes and stuff, and pick the one that I like the most. I think I said 2 more things. That was the last thing. That was the last thing. Wolfgang and I will say goodbye now. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.